Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of the Clever Angler Podcast. I'm your host, Tevin McGee, and today I'm joined by Nathan Knight, owner and founder of Knight Productions. How are you doing today, Nathan?
I'm doing pretty well. I can't lie. I'm a little nervous.
Man, there's nothing to be nervous about, man. It's all casual and stuff here. But yeah, so if you've ever played sports, you don't just start shooting from half court, just start sprinting. So I've got some warm-up questions here to kind of get us loose and ready to do this interview. You guys ready for that?
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's
okay, man. So I know if someone were to play you in a movie, who would it be?
Realistically, I don't know. I wish it would be like Tom Holland or something. Somebody cool like
Dude,
that.
I can see Tom Holland.
Tom Holland would be cool.
Yeah.
But I don't. Realistically, it'd probably be like the same dude that does. I can't think of his name, but the same guy that shot the movie for Facebook. Well,
I can see that little social network action. Man.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. If you had a sandwich named after you, what would be on that sandwich?
I don't know.
I mean, it can be hot sandwich. It can be cold sandwich.
It'd definitely be a cold sandwich if it were me. Gosh, I don't know. I'd probably just do something silly okay, so my middle name is Ryan.
Yeah.
So maybe I would do like a Ryan special or something like that, like Orion, like the star or whatever.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
A little something different.
Okay. And what's the worst job you've ever had?
That sounds like a trap. Man, the worst job I ever had. I'll be honest. I used to shred papers. My mom is an attorney, and I used to shred papers all day, like 7 hours a day, and I would just sit there and shred papers when I was like 14. That's probably the worst job I ever had.
Yeah, that sounds like it's
yeah, and I got paid like $70.
Wow. No, that's definitely not worth it. But
yeah, that's probably the worst job I ever had.
Yeah, let's dive right in. So if you had to give an elevator pitch of who you are and what you do, could you?
For starters, my name is Nathan Knott, and let's see. I'd like to think I'm a creative.
You're definitely a creative, bro.
Yeah. Thanks. Man, I'm a bit of a big dreamer too. I'd say a little bit. I have a lot of dreams and what I aspire to be. I look up to a lot of people, and I keep putting small goals in front of me so I can keep meeting those and get to the next one and keep moving forward. And what I do is we're part of Knight Productions, so we do photo, video, graphic design, digital media, creative media, things like that. And we stay pretty busy just doing all sorts of different projects, man. And we'll film everything, commercials, weddings, all sorts of stuff like that. So we just stay busy doing that sort of thing, doing photos, doing senior sessions, doing weddings on top of that. We'll do a lot of commercial client photography work, just different things like that. So we stay pretty busy.
Yeah. So how long have you guys been doing this? How long has Knight Productions been a thing?
Okay. So truthfully, I guess now is a good time as any. So actually, Knight Productions became a thing first made as a YouTube channel.
Really?
Yeah. So my videographer and one of my best friends, Alex, he works with me. Him and I, a long time ago, made a bunch of YouTube videos for fun, like with a bunch of friends. And I went to Crows Ridge Academy when I was, that's where I graduated high school from. And when we were there, we just made a bunch of like little short films with friends and stuff like that on YouTube, made like little funny music videos and things like that. And when we started doing that, like I was the one like editing it, and I was the one kind of like getting into the camera stuff, like the actual like camera equipment and everything. So Alex was like, yeah, let's call it Knight Productions. That'll be fun. Like that's whatever. So I agreed and we did that. And that's how, like, that's where Knight Productions started. And that was actually in like 2000 I want to say that was in like 2015. And then come 2016, a guy approached me about filming a video for CRC, which is a college. It's just CRA's college. And so it was like for this little college event thing, they call it the Bash. And he had a cantaloupe and a guitar, and he was going to break the cantaloupe with the guitar, and I was supposed to make a video about it. So I made that. He paid me $50. And at that moment, it was after I filmed that, I was like, oh, I can make money doing this. This is kind of cool. Like I thought I was just having fun with my friends. And so I was like, whatever. So then, one thing led to another. And so 2016 is when Knight Productions became like I was starting to try and make it like a business, more or less. And from there, it slowly grew, and it took forever, but
So in 2016, how old were you at the time?
In 2016, I'd have been a junior in high school.
Oh, wow. So you were still like 16, 17.
I was driving my old Pontiac, so I would have been 16. I was probably turning 17 soon. Yeah.
Wow. So, okay, so high school, that's a very impressionable age. There's a lot of stress behind what are you going to do with your life? You know, where are you going to go to college? What career? Did you ever think that you were going to do anything other than what you're doing now?
Um, did I ever think that? I want to say no, but it's so funny because I didn't know what avenue that meant. You know, when I was in high school and I started making videos and I was showing them at CRA, we have chapel, and I was showing them in chapel and stuff like that, and making like small, little, cheap commercials for people. Everyone was always like, man, you're going to make Hollywood movies. You know what I mean? Like someday you're moving to California. Like, remember me when you're meet Spielberg or something like that. And I always remember joking about that, but I never knew if like that's what I wanted to do, or if I had like, you know, maybe bigger aspirations to be like a dad and like grow a family here and with my home. And so I didn't know what avenue I wanted to take. And I had a math teacher at CRA. And she told me, she was like, you know, Nathan, you probably won't use this stuff very much because you're going to do video. Like, not on top of, did I think that, but I felt like a lot of other people thought like, this is what he's going to do. And I guess that kind of encouraged me to keep going, to keep doing
Yeah.
it, to chase that dream of no matter what it was, but to do, at that time, it was strictly video, and to follow that dream as much as I could. And I guess, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I did. I never really thought like I would do anything else. I say that it was never something like do something else. It was just what in that realm of video did I want to do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Was it make commercials? Was it make movies? Was it make music videos? Because that was a big dream of mine for a long time. I wanted to make music videos. Like that was it.
Really?
Yeah. Like I remember, because that's all they're privated now, but on YouTube, on my channel, there's a bunch of music videos that you could go and you could watch. And it's like just me and a bunch of friends, because I love doing that. I thought that was so fun. You would go and you'd go to a specific location and you'd film the whole 3-minute song, and then go to a new location and film the whole 3-minute song. And then you'd start adding story to it. And that was so fun. It's still fun. I still get opportunities to do that every now and then. But yeah, for a little bit, all I want to do is music videos. And then, like I said, a lot of my close friends at the time wanted me to like, go shoot movies, that'd be fun or whatever. And I don't know, I've told my videographer Caden this a million times since he started working with me. My goal in life these days is I want to be a dad more than anything.
Yeah.
Someday, not now, but someday I want to be a dad, and want to raise with, you know, my family around and everything like that. So that's kind of what encourages me to grow this business. And and it was choosing between those things that was always kind of tough.
Yeah.
Growing up. And literally, I'm going to be honest with you, even through college, which was October of last year.
Yeah.
Is when I finally decided, like, yeah, this is exactly what I like this.
It's so interesting that you said like these days your goal is to be a dad. I mean, you're only like what, 22?
Yeah, I'm 22.
I mean, you've got plenty of time to do all of that, but the fact that you're thinking that far in the future is crazy. But so take me to senior year, your last day.
Yeah,
like
okay.
You've graduated high school. What were you thinking the next step for you was going to be?
Man, my last day in high school, I remember. So I was in school. I was never great. I was never great at school. I was okay if I applied myself, but I was never a good test taker.
Yeah.
And so like the ACT was like really hard for me. And, you know, so I knew I wasn't like, that was another thing. Like I knew I had to do video because like I wasn't really good at like other things, you know what I mean? So I was like, you know, I gotta make this work. And, so anyway, I was getting better at certain things, and I, took my ACT, and I just barely got a high enough score. And this is probably a little embarrassing to put out, but I just got a high enough score to make it like into ASU without having to take like the other classes.
Yeah.
So
like the remedial classes and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So I made it into ASU, and I was like on the fence, like, do I go to ASU or do I not? Whatever. Right. And then my brother joined the military. I know this sounds crazy, but just keep following. Okay, my brother joins the Air Force, and we go and watch his graduation. I'm on my way home from that graduation, and I'm scrolling through Instagram, and an ad pops up on my phone for a place called Full Sail University, which is down in Florida.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I show my dad, and I'm like, Dad, look at this. It's like a film. It's like an art school. It's like down in Florida. It says it's got online classes. I could do that. And he was like, oh, well, you know, it's an ad on Instagram. You know, how much do you trust that?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So obviously I go and I do my research. And when I did my research, I found out it was a legit school. And so, but there was like a law in Arkansas at that time where I couldn't attend the school because Arkansas wouldn't allow me to take online classes from a different state.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, it was like this weird thing, and I wasn't legally not allowed to take those classes. It was this really weird timeline too, because I waited like all summer to kind of do this process. And Full Sail's like timeline's really weird. They almost do like a monthly admissions rather than like a semester admission.
Yeah.
And that's why I graduated in October, like I said. But so it took forever for me to get like set up. And then once I did, ASU had already started their fall semester. So I had missed that window joining all my friends at school.
So it was either this or nothing.
Yeah,
at this point.
exactly. So I was like, well, or I join ASU in the
spring.
In the spring, and I'm going to be behind. You know what I mean? I was like, so I was really, it was a really tough time, especially for my mom, who was like begging me to go to college. And I was like really on the fence about it and everything. And then I ended up, I don't know, I consider it a blessing. But as December came along, as soon as January hit, I would be allowed to attend Full Sail, which is right on the cusp of the new year. I would have been starting, in the spring.
So is this the same school that wasn't going to allow you to
Correct.
go?
It wasn't, the school wouldn't allow me. The state of Florida was fine with it.
Okay.
The state of Arkansas was not fine with it.
Oh, okay.
And so at that time, like I wasn't allowed to go there. Come back January, I'm allowed to go. And it was like a blessing in disguise, because I end up going to Full Sail and everything. And I do make it all the way through, and I get my degree and all that stuff. And so, yeah, it was, to answer your question, it was really hard to figure out what I was going to do right after high school, because like I said, didn't score well on ACT, and I didn't know what to do. And that's why I have a lot of friends, I do a lot of shoots for a lot of seniors coming out of high school, and they're always like, and I'll mention to them, start conversation. I'm like, hey, what do you, you plan on going to college, or what are your plans at your school? And I get a lot of them are like, well, I know I'm going to college, or I'm going to ASU, but I don't really know what I want to do. And I literally tell them all the time, I don't care what anybody else says, man. I'm like, to me, you don't have to know yet. I was like, to me, I don't think you have to know yet, because I didn't know where I was going. I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know what school I was going to. It literally until December of, what would that have been, 2017, I didn't even know where I was going to school. And then in January I went, and now I have a degree there. You know what I'm saying? So it's really crazy, like where life turned.
No, I mean, deciding what you want to do, especially at like that young of an age, is such a monumental decision. And I think a lot of people, especially like ASU, from my experience, they pressure you into, okay, you got to pick a major, you're going to be behind, that sort of thing. But I'm in the same camp as you. You don't have to figure that out yet. You just now getting to know yourself at that point. 18, 19 years old, I didn't even know what I liked at that point.
I'm still trying to figure out myself.
Exactly.
I still got a lot of work to do there. That's why I said I want to be a dad, but not now. I'm still trying to figure out myself.
Exactly. So tell me about your experience at Full Sail. Like, how was that?
Sure. Man, I'm glad I have that piece of paper sitting on my desk now.
Yeah. But
at that time, like I said, I wasn't a great test taker. School was tough for me. And I don't know, maybe this is a whole nother discussion, but my time at Full Sail felt like wasted a little bit. I felt like I was spending a lot of my time on schoolwork, and a lot of stuff was starting to kind of form here at Night Productions a little bit. And so Night Productions forced me to learn these things a long time ago that Full Sail was trying to teach me. Trying to teach me like 3-point lighting and like basic camera settings and things like that. Now, I'm not saying that Full Sail didn't teach me anything. I'm just saying that, like, I was in classes with a bunch of other students, and a lot of those students had next to no film history at all.
So they just came in just completely
because they were like, I like movies, I want to film something. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think if you have dreams to do something like that, go for it. And Full Sail is a great avenue if you're trying to like make it into the system of like filming in Hollywood or filming documentaries in another country and things like that. Full Sail is an excellent avenue for that, or like live TV, arts, things like that. If you're trying to start your own small business in Paragould, Arkansas, that does videography, Full Sail may not be the best option for you. But if your mom wants you to get a degree, it's a decent option.
Yeah. I mean, my mom was the exact same way. She was like, if you're not going to go to college, you got to move out here, and we're not going to help you and all that. I was like, well, I don't want that. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I kind of was just rushed into something and just got the piece of paper, and then after college, you kind of figure out more things about yourself and of what you like. But yeah, I mean, college is a good experience, man. I mean, I learned a lot of things. I'm sure you learned a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But would you say that, we talked about this a little bit last week, YouTube, would you say that if you're going to make your own business, that it would be better to go like the self-taught route versus trying to get like a 4-year degree?
Okay, in this field, it's so tough to answer, but and put all my faith into it. But I'm gonna say yes. I think self-taught is better in this field specifically, and I can explain myself because I think we're creatives,
Yeah.
right? Full Sail is teaching every single student the exact same thing. Okay. Now we all have a. They would give us a video project. You have to make that video project. It meets someone's specific standards.
Yeah.
Things like that. In this business and what we do, when I turn around a wedding video, I have certain things that are, I'm going to say, required to me to return. I mean, I have to provide them the kiss. I have to provide them certain things like that. But as far as how I tell that story that's why they hired me. You know what I mean? It's my creative spin on it. And I feel like I'm just using Full Sail as an example, but maybe any film school, and maybe I shouldn't speak for any film school, but they teach you one avenue of how to do things. You know what I mean? And I feel like as a creative, you can, if you learn from YouTube, you're not only learning from someone else, but you're probably learning from like hundreds of different YouTube tutorials, which is teaching you way different avenues. And you're being forced to put your own spin on things. You're literally being forced because they're not handing you that YouTuber isn't handing you footage to edit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're saying, okay, if you want to do this, go film your own footage, which gives you hand-on experience. And then you're going and you're editing this piece together that includes how to do a certain transition. Well, now you've used your own footage. You know what to do differently next time because you went and filmed it, and now you're adding this transition. Full Sail didn't teach you that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that comes with a little bit of trial and error. So maybe it takes longer. Maybe you don't learn as quick as you would at Full Sail, but I think you're going to learn better, and you might just become a better creative. I think if you learned from the internet.
No, I mean, I think that's a excellent answer. I mean, that's kind of the point of this entire podcast. I interview different people in different career fields, and we try to see if there's different ways to get there, right?
Yeah.
Like society tells you that you need to go to school and get a degree, and that's the only way you can get a job. I'm trying to see, is there other ways to get there? You said there's the Full Sail route, there's the YouTube route, there's probably other ways to be able to get to having your own business, especially in this type of field, the creative type of field.
Well,
so,
let me say this, man. Like I said, I've got that degree on my wall. I'm going to promise you right now, I've probably filmed with hundreds of clients. Not a single client has ever asked me if I have a degree in this.
Yeah.
Never. Have I told them? Yes. And does that help? Maybe. Maybe it helps. You know what I mean? It helps to have on my resume. But no one's ever been like, if you had a degree in this, maybe I'd give you that job.
Exactly.
So.
I mean, I'm definitely a firm believer that there's certain things that you have to have a degree for, like nursing, doctor. Yeah,
I would hope so.
I want them to go and study and take the labs and that sort of thing. But I mean, is there other avenues? Yes, there's definitely other avenues. So okay, so you graduated, you made mom happy, you got the piece of paper. What does Night Productions look like at that point?
Oh, that's so funny. I love that question, man, because I graduated, like I said, I graduated October of 2020. I think, yes, October of 2020 I graduated. And, it had to have been 2020.
Yeah.
So, it was 20. Wow, that's crazy. That was really not long ago. So I graduate, September of 2019. So I was still in school.
Yeah.
September 2019. I didn't have a single gig that entire month. Okay. January 2020, every single weekend I had booked. January of 2020. And it was starting to look good. Middle of 2020, we're now in COVID.
Yeah.
Slowed down. Crazy. And I was like, oh no, things were just getting good. I was getting worried. I was like, oh no, things are just getting good. But then, of course, we live in Arkansas, so it's a little different. But weddings start picking back up. People are more comfortable with the COVID scenario. We're all wearing masks and things like that. And weddings start picking up. I ended up filming 30-something weddings in 2020, which is crazy. A blessing that I've filmed 30.
That's insane.
During the pandemic. Yeah, it was. Oh, dude, I'm blessed beyond belief to say that. And then October 2020 rolls around, and I graduate school, and I got hit with this wall, man. And this is funny. I got hit with this wall, and I realized, like, oh crap, there's no more school. There was high school, and I always had the next step, and then it was college, and then there was that step, and then it was like, okay, now I'm a business owner.
Yeah.
I guess let's see, I was 20. I'm 21, right? I was 21 at the time. and I was like, oh crap, I now have it's all on me, right?
Yeah.
And I'll tell. I mean, my story. I guess I'll tell my story.
Yeah.
I got hit with this opportunity. Paragould just got a brand new mayor named Josh Agee, and I reached out to Josh to film with him and make his stuff, and I took the opportunity, and that led to me to get a job at the Chamber of Commerce here in Paragould, and I worked there for 4 months. 4 months because, and I'll be honest, I did it because I took the job because I was really nervous. Like I said, I got hit with this wall of like, it's all on me. Like I was, at that time I was working on my own. This was the only thing I was doing. And then when I realized like, there was no more college, there was nothing else but my future ahead of me. I was like, I got put in this position of, I need some sort of backbone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got scared. I got really scared. I felt like I'm so young and whatever, and I needed to make sure I was secure in myself and all that stuff. And so I took this job. I got this job opportunity to work at the chamber, and I loved it. I totally love that job. I just feel like once I started working at it, and Night Productions was, taking off. It was compared. I'm not saying we're anywhere, but we were getting busier and busier every week. It just kept getting busier and busier, and I had to hire somebody else, and I hired somebody. There's 5 of us that work here. You know what I mean? And we were getting busier and busier and busier. And I took the time, and then I gave him like a month's notice, and I was like, I know I just started, but I was like, I feel like, and this is what I tell everybody, I feel like if I didn't take this opportunity to jump and try my absolute hardest at Night Productions, then in the future, I would feel like I wasted my time. Like I feel like that sort of job, a job like the Chamber of Commerce,
it's always going to be there.
It's always going to be there. I could work at, factories have people on site that do photos and graphics and things like that. And that's what I was doing there. And I feel like that's always going to be somewhere. There's always going to be a job like that. And I have a degree. So I feel like
You're qualified. Yeah.
I'm qualified. I can probably get a job like that in my 30s or 40s.
Yeah.
But I'm in my 20s. I'm 22 years old. I turned 22 in February. I'm like, really like to give it my all right now. Before I have a kid and before I get married and things like that. And then if it works out, great. Then perfect. If God sets that plan out for me, then it's wonderful. If not, then I'll worry about that later.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I guess that's where I'm going with it. It's just
yeah.
My life is always just kind of like whatever comes on my plate right then and there. Like, I guess that's what I'm doing that's a tough question in and of itself. Is like, what's next? You know what I mean? Like I said, I always have small goals that I keep trying to reach, and that small goal changes all the time.
Yeah. So okay. So you said that when you started Night Productions, it was just video. Take me through what your first wedding shooting video was like.
Okay, it was for my sister.
Okay.
I have an older sister. She got married in Missouri. She lives in Springfield, Missouri, and she reached out to me. We're talking. I had just started doing videos. So 2015, I'm going to guess this was 2016.
Okay.
That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
2016, I get an opportunity in September to film for my sister on a wedding, and it's all the way there. I drive 2 hours there, however long it is. I drive there, and I have a Ronin M. I was filming on my Ronin M on a Canon T5, Rebel T5i, which my Canon people are cringing right now, knowing that I filmed an entire wedding on that. But I filmed the whole wedding on that, man. And mind you, I had never been to a wedding. This was like my first wedding I'd ever been.
Really?
At. Yeah. So I have, first of all, no clue what like weddings are like.
You didn't do any research, no YouTube.
I did a little bit of research, but I didn't look up.
Did you shoot it by yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's dangerous, man.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It was terrifying. Now, granted, it was just video, but still.
Yeah.
I was like, I looked up like, these like wedding videos, right? And of course, when you look up wedding video on YouTube, you're getting like the best quality thing ever. So in my head, I'm like, okay, I've got to make this.
Yeah,
it's got to look, if I want to keep up with the times, it's got to look like this. I'm not putting something out like that back in 16. No shot. And yeah, I remember getting there, man. I got there. I literally think I showed up to the venue at like 6:30 in the morning.
Really?
Yeah, because like my sister and like her bridesmaids like slept there,
Yeah.
and she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna probably get up at like 6:30 and start doing my makeup."
You were trying to get everything.
I was there, man. I was there when she woke up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I stayed in a hotel and I drove there. It was like 20-minute drive from the hotel to the venue, and I was there until midnight. You know what I mean? And I filmed every inch of it. I mean, I remember charging my Ronin 3 times that day. I had it
Jeez.
on the whole day, going. I think I ended up with it's like an 8-9 minute long video, which is about what I do now.
Yeah.
But at that time, yeah, and that was my only wedding video for maybe about a year or so. I got another opportunity here in Paragould, probably about a year later after that, and then that led to 2, and then so on and so forth. So, but it all started there. Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you start to expand your team? I mean, we're sitting here in your studio right now. So tell me a little bit about your team and when you guys started to form. You said there's 5 of you guys that work here now.
Yeah. So Alex has kind of been by my side kind of since the beginning. Like we were best friends in high school, and he just kind of always helped me on set and stuff like that. He would come and I would be editing, and he would like sit behind me and edit and put in input and things like that. And that's kind of just how we did things as we started. So Alex and I did it forever. And I mean, I'll be straight up, and maybe this is some advice for some young business owners. Alex and I went on probably at least 100 shoots early on. And we probably went on hundreds of shoots and never made a dime in our own pocket. Neither one of us. And that says a lot for Alex too. Because at the end of the day, Alex would come on shoots. Sometimes he wouldn't stay with me and edit. Sometimes he would stay with me and edit. You know what I mean? So he was just spending time with me and just helping me out on set and then leaving or whatever. And he wasn't making anything. And I wasn't making anything. All the money we would make would go to Night Productions to buy equipment. To buy something different, to stay on top of the game, to get updated. Because like I said, I was using a Rebel T5i, and I knew that wasn't going to keep up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, okay. And at that time, I was kind of getting gear crazy. So I was like, all right, we make $100. I'm spending $100. We make $200. I'm spending $200. And it wasn't until, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think I made a dime until 2020.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so.
So how are you sustaining your lifestyle?
At that time, I was still working at the cinema.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I worked at the Paragould Cinema for 3 years. And hey, you asked me my favorite job, but the Paragould Cinema, literally, because that job, they were the nicest people. I made some of my best friends there, and they were so willing to work around my schedule. Like if I had a shoot or something like that, I just let them know a week in advance, and they were like, okay. They just let me off that whole day. And if it wasn't, I seriously, I owe probably a lot of any form of successfulness that this business has created at all. Any form of the fact that I'm in a studio, I owe to the cinema. Yeah. In fact, I quit the cinema when I moved into the studio.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that, if that tells you anything.
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, you mentioned earlier that you were kind of gear crazy. Tell me about some of the gear that you bought and what's currently filming us right now.
Okay, so I'll tell you, I have more gear than we'd have time to sit here and talk about, I assure you. But what my most primary stuff I use these days is we have 2 A7 IIIs, which is what primarily films weddings.
Yeah. Sony A7 IIIs. Yeah.
Sony A7 IIIs, and we run those on Ronins. Now I have 4 different Ronins these days. I have a Ronin M. I don't really use it very much. It's kind of too big to carry on weddings. I use it for if I have really any Sony fans out there, I have a Sony FS5, which is a lot bigger of a camera. It's a 5K camera, and I'll run that on my Ronin M. But I hardly ever use that. I have a original Ronin S. I have the Ronin, the mini one, and then I have the brand new one, the RS2. Caden, is that what it's called? RS2? Yeah, the RS2. And I run that pretty often. And then our brand new baby, well, I'll say this too. We got a Canon 5DSR, which I shoot product photography on because it's a 50.2 megapixel camera. 52 point something. Anyways, 50 something megapixels. So I use my product photography with that. I have a camera. We call it Anna's camera. I have a photographer named Anastasia. She does a majority of my weddings and stuff photography wise. And she uses a Canon Mark IV, a 5D Mark IV. And then my brand new baby, which I use probably every day of my life now, is our EOS R, a Canon EOS R.
Yeah.
And which was a tough switch. I ain't gonna lie to you because I've been using EF lenses for Canons, and then of course Sony's, and now I have to switch to RF lenses, which means I have to switch buy new lenses and things like that. So that's a tough switch.
So that's a mirrorless
That's a mirrorless
Yeah.
for Canon.
for Canon. Yeah.
And it was worth every dime, and it was a pretty dime, but it was worth every dime. And yeah, dude, I mean, it's filming us now on top of an A7 as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I use it all the time. I use it for video. I use it for photo, primarily photo, but I do a little of like video and stuff with it.
Yeah. My brother would not have let me leave here without asking you about your gear and stuff. I know
Yeah.
he used an EOS R as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were talking about your team. You were talking about Alex.
Yeah.
What about the rest of the guys?
Yeah. So, okay. So my first hire was Anastasia. She's been with me a year now. We just celebrated her year's celebration maybe a month ago or so. And when I brought her on, so when the pandemic, I've had a lot of jobs alongside of this. I quit the cinema, was ready to start night productions full time. The pandemic hits. I get scared, per usual. As we've learned, as soon as something I get, full time in night productions, I get scared and I fall back.
Yeah.
I jump back. The pandemic hit. I jump back. I start working at a grocery store because grocery stores were still open, and when the pandemic hit, so I worked at Hayes Grocery, which is here in Paragould.
Yeah, I worked at Hayes too in Jonesboro. Yeah.
Did you? Okay,
Yeah.
so I worked at Hayes, and I made a friend. Her name was Allie. And I come into work one day, and night productions is getting busy still, like whatever. Like I thought the pandemic slowed us down, and then it picked right back up like a month later. And I was getting busy again, and I was working at Hayes, till a certain time, and then I'd get off and I'd go shoot a senior, and then rinse and repeat every single day. I would be working at Hayes, and then I'd get off and I'd go do a shoot, and I'd work at Hayes, and go shoot for a client, or I'd shoot for a client, and then go work at Hayes, and it was all the time, and I was complaining to Allie at work one day at Hayes. I was like, man, if I just had a photographer, like someone, another photographer that I could use, that would be perfect. And she was like, I have one of my friends from high school. Like we just graduated high school, but like one of my friends is getting back into photography and would probably do it. And I was like, sure, whatever. Have her come in. I just got this studio, like literally. And I was like, have her come in and we'll do an interview. And if she likes it, then she's got it, the job basically. And sure enough, she came in. I talked to her, got her phone number, and then she showed me some of her work, and I got to know her just for a little bit. I did like an internship for like a month, and then I was like, yeah, you're the one. Whatever, come on and join me. And then she's been here for a year, so it worked. And she is fun. I mean, when I say a natural, literally, I don't even consider myself a natural. I think I had to train to get where I am. I feel like I handed her a camera, and she was already just phenomenal with it. Fast forward a little bit, I hired a guy named Jason less than a year ago, and then my most recent hire, and this is just because we keep getting more weddings and busier. Because I don't know if I told you this or not already, but we have 57 weddings in 2021 total.
No, you didn't tell me that. Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, 57 as of this year. And technically that number is still growing. I had people reach out to me this morning. I had 3 different brides reach out to me this morning, and all 3 of them were for this year. So if the date's open and I have a videographer available, we'll do it. You know what I mean? So there's still dates available. But no, and then I hired Caden. And now Caden is different than a lot of them. Now Anastasia, she's in college. She's going to be a some form of doctor or something. She'll probably kill me for saying she's going to be a doctor. She's not going to be a doctor, but some form of medical professional.
Yeah.
And then Jason works for another content creation company. They're from out of Florida or something like that. And he does that at home. So he's kind of part-time as well. So we those kind of people mainly shoot just weddings.
Yeah.
And stuff. And then Alex, Caden, and I work throughout the week. And Caden and I are the full-time, we are here as bright as early as we wake up, and then we leave and we go to bed, and then we come back. That's Caden. And he's been here a month and a half now.
Wow.
And I think he's spent every single day with me since he started. I'm pretty sure. I don't think I've skipped a single day. I did go to the beach for a week, so other than that, yeah. Which that was the first vacation I've had since before COVID.
That's insane. 57 weddings in 2021.
Yeah, it's a blessing, that's for sure. I'm beyond thankful for that, but the fact that 57 brides or couples in general are I would love to have them film my wedding day. I mean, when you think about that, that's just so crazy to me because I love it. I get it. I worked really hard to create some form of likable production. You know what I mean? But the fact that literally 57 different couples came to me and were like, we would like to have you on our most important day of our life.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that's insane to me. I'll never take that for granted. That's insane.
So, I mean, it's safe to say you're not working at Hayes anymore.
No, I do this full time. I've done this in full time since I quit the chamber. So as soon as I quit the chamber, I haven't done anything since.
Okay. That's
And I'm not
incredible.
going back.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm doing this now. I'm not getting scared.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think led to like you getting scared and going back into these other forms of income? Because, I mean, it's a grocery store. You couldn't have been making like, really good money working there.
Well, I'll tell you, literally, I think what it was is Night Productions is my baby. I've watched it grow since the very first day it became anything, right? And so every time I got paid, from somewhere else, I felt like, okay, well, I don't have to pay myself at Night Productions. I can just put Night Productions money back into Night Productions.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, okay, well, here you go. Like if you have a kid, you know what I mean? You want to keep giving your kid like more stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, I mean, not that I can relate, but like I assume,
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, and so I would I would work for Night Productions. I'd do a video or whatever, and then I would get however much money for a wedding or for a commercial or whatever, and then I would just go, okay, here you go, have this, you know what I mean, and put it right back, and I wouldn't touch it. And so then I would survive on like $100 in my own. I'd done that for 3 years of my life. I survived like $100 like every 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, like I would eat nothing. I've become a pro at saving money.
Yeah.
Like at like budgeting myself and like how much I would eat and whatever. And granted, I lived at home and stuff like that, so that stuff was like easy. I fed off my mom a little bit, like as far as food goes and stuff like that. But she never handed me like $1 or anything like that. And that is one of my.
You were just there if she was cooking dinner.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. And that is one of my. This is probably the only brag I'll ever say about this business, okay? But a lot of people ask this question because my mom is an attorney, whatever. But my mom has never once paid for a single thing in this studio. Nobody has. Night Productions has paid for every single thing in this building. And that is like my greatest achievement.
Yeah.
And I never change it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
no one can take it away from you. It's yours. You built it from the ground up.
Exactly. The T5 I was working at the cinema, I think at that time. Yeah, I think. It was either a cinema or a Sonic.
Yeah.
I worked at Sonic was my first like job. And I worked at Sonic for a little bit. So I might have used that money a little bit, but I bought my Canon and that's what I started with. I bought a tripod at Walmart for $30.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so, that's like my greatest achievement. And my mom hasn't paid for anything, and that's one of her favorite things to brag about too. Is that she likes the fact that that I did this myself and I didn't have to ask her for money. And like that's, I don't know, but yeah, I budgeted myself on like $100 a week, man, and I would just learn to live off of nothing, and I guess that's why I kept getting scared because I would be like, I got no money for myself, you know what I mean? And I didn't know how to pay myself. Like I didn't know, like it was hard for me to take money away from my studio because I was like, well, if I take it away from this, then how am I going to keep growing? I didn't know where the line was to be like, okay, you're good now. Like you like don't have to spend this anymore. Like you can like reward yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
And still is such a weird thing to do, and I don't pay myself much at all, but I mean, I pay myself what I need to live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's all I want.
Exactly.
In myself, because if my business is doing well, then I'm doing well, and that's all I care about.
Yeah, I mean, 57 weddings is incredible. Like I said, I can't say that enough. So what does like a typical week look like for you guys? You said you guys are here, as soon as you wake up. Do you have like set off days? Because I know you do weddings on the weekends, or what does that look like?
The short answer is no, I don't have off days.
Yeah.
Which, that's a funny like grind statement, like no off days,
Yeah.
But no, for real, like, and Caden would back me up on this. We don't take a break. Like if there's a day that I don't have a shoot, I'm here editing stuff I've done in the past.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we don't really like to take days off. Like I said, I took a vacation for the week and I still was working mobily. I had my laptop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just don't know how to stop.
Was it hard for you to relax at the beach?
Terribly. I was constantly in contact with all the guys that were here. I was texting them, calling them. They were calling me, and and we were just. I would sit on the beach, and I would literally put my phone in my girlfriend's like bag.
Yeah.
That way I wouldn't, you know what I mean? And then I'd go build like a sandcastle or something, and then I'd check my phone and then go back to it. But yeah, I tried my best. It was hard though. But no, a typical week, man. I'll start from like a Sunday perspective, right? So Sunday we had typically just filmed a wedding. Sunday is a good day if we have to film like a highlight, or if we film the wedding and the wedding asks for a highlight reel, like that's a good day to make the highlight reel. So I'll make the highlight reel Sunday. Sundays are typically filled with senior sessions as well. So a senior session could happen on a Sunday because weekends are pretty easy for people to do. Monday will roll around. That's a huge day for me to either shoot something early in the mornings, or a great day to catch up on like people's phone calls, clients, and things like that. More of my client work, phone and emails and things like that happen on Mondays. People get on the gun, they're ready to start their week, and so they're reaching out to me. Tuesday rolls around. That's Tuesdays and Thursdays are huge shoot days for us. We shoot constantly. I mean, we shoot every day of the week, especially even this week. We shot different client every week, every day. But Tuesdays and Thursdays are big shoot days. We have a lot of retainer clients that we do on those days. So like each of us will like have like a specific client that we'll do like, okay, it's Tuesday, you go do this, and Thursday you'll do that. Wednesday is kind of like a random day. It could be one day I could be shooting at Downtown Nutrition, and the next I could be filming at AMMC. You know what I'm saying? The spectrum is whatever. Friday, I would say if any day is a dead day, Friday is dead day for some reason.
Really?
Yeah. Not as a lot of people. Well, my business clients, it's Friday. They're like, oh, it's the end of the week. We'll catch up on it early next week.
Yeah.
So they don't really do a lot on Fridays. And then like seniors don't really want to do anything Friday evenings because Friday's their day to hang out with their friends.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So Fridays aren't really crazy. So I'd say if any day typically doesn't have a shoot on it, it's Friday.
Yeah.
Cool by me.
Yeah.
But I still use that day to edit typically and just catch up on the weekly stuff. Our main goal for Fridays is to prepare for Saturday that's coming up tomorrow, and prepare for the wedding that's coming, or the 2 or 3. The max we've done right now is 3 in a day. And
really,
we did a little fun thing. I promoted it on Facebook for a little bit. We did 3 weddings in one day in 3 different states, all on the same day. So there was one in Arkansas, there was one in Mississippi, and there was one in Florida, and we were all 3 filming them at the exact same time in 3 different states.
So was this like all video? Was it video and?
This time they were all video. Yeah,
really?
That specific instance. But there's one in October coming up that is there's like one that's photo video, and then 2 that are video, and then that Sunday there's a wedding too. So there's 4 in one weekend.
So can all of you guys shoot video, or is it just you and
me and Caden and Alex and Jason do video? Me and Caden and Anastasia do photography.
Okay.
So that's about how it runs. It's just, yeah. So it's like there's basically 3 people that can do each.
Yeah.
But like it breaks up kind of weird. There's only 2 people that do like one thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so take me through your editing. So let's say you did a wedding on a Saturday. How long would it take you to edit that down into the finished product?
You're not ready for this answer. So, like I said, there are no off days.
Yeah.
Right? So we push ourselves, and I get a lot of other people that don't like this answer, but we turn everything around in a week or less.
Really?
I do not turn anything around later than a week. I don't.
And that's for video and pictures, everything.
Yeah, I don't do it. Now, okay. Now there are exceptions to this rule in the state that, like, okay, if I film for a big client and I have a huge project or something like that, their first turnaround is done in the week. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I just recently filmed something for AMMC. We made a nursing video. It hasn't come out yet, but it's finished. I gave them their first draft that week. Right now, when they come around with me with corrections and things like that, that slows things down. So that I can't force their hand to give me the corrections to get it done in a week.
Yeah.
But I get my part done in a week. A wedding, no one really asks me for corrections on a wedding video. I typically send with them and they like it, and then we move on. So that's done in a week. You'll either get it, the latest you will get it is that Saturday, a week from when your wedding was. If I film your wedding
that's an extremely fast turnaround.
That's what I've been told. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like we don't, and it's not like we're like cheating y'all out of like time or anything like that. Like we do typically 7+ minute long videos. I've done 12-minute long wedding videos before.
Yeah, that's an extremely long wedding video.
Yeah. And then I've done, we'd hand out like our photo packages. Like one of them has like 400+ photos. Like 400+ photos are done in a week. Like Anastasia will like get home from school, and she probably hates me for it, but she gets home from school. She doesn't hate me for it, but if we didn't love it, we wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? But no, we all love it, and we all think it's the most fun thing ever. And then like the fact that we get paid for it is like on the side. Like it's not even like a thought. It's not even why we do it at all. Like we literally get to go film somebody's wedding and then put it together, and it's the most fun time ever. We get to experience their wedding. It's super fun. And then we sit down and we put it together as fast as possible, and we try to get it to you. The highlight tape is done as like literally ASAP. Half the time, me and Caden, when we film your wedding, we will go home that evening and edit, and you'll have it before you wake up. The highlight reel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then immediately, as soon as the highlight reel is done, it's on to the wedding. And that's the thing on our brain. And it's get it done as quick as possible. And that's including everything else we do too. We have like this whole calendar.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, we've already established that that's within a week. How many hours would you say would go into like a wedding video?
Well, a lot of that's going to depend on your wedding day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So some people have like crazy weddings, right? You know what I mean? Like crazy weddings. They put their whole dreams have been about that wedding. And so those weddings take like a lot of time because you're trying to make sure that every single piece of their day that they would have wanted in there is in there. And it's a cinematic masterpiece. Those take a little more time. I would say, but to answer your question, on average, probably like 20, 24 hours a week, I'd say. That's probably a good guess. I bet it takes me, because like I don't edit it. I don't sit down and edit it all in one day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I probably put like 10, 11 hours into it one day and then put 10, 11 hours into it the next day. And that's a great excuse also for me to like look at it and like the second day and like look at it and review it. And like the third day I'll like look at it and review it. And then I'll like typically send it to you like, you know, either that Saturday or I'll send it to you Thursday or Friday.
So what does your editing setup look like? Like what programs do you use to edit?
I use Premiere Pro. Personally, I've used it since I was in high school, so I just have always done that. When I was in high school and I was looking up YouTube videos, that's what all the cool people were doing. So, you know, I was like, got to save up my money and pay however much a month to, you know, get all this Premiere, because Adobe stuff is expensive.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've used Premiere Pro forever. So I literally cannot even imagine going and doing anything else because my hands just know all the hotkeys and stuff.
Yeah.
I run on a Mac. I got 2 monitors. That way, if I need to do like any internet searching or like file dragging and dropping and things like that, I can do that pretty efficiently. I switch back and forth between a mouse and a trackpad all the time. Like throughout my edit, like different things require me to have a trackpad and different things require me to have my mouse. Yeah, I don't know. It's that's about it. I don't really do anything crazy. I don't have like this mastermind set up
No,
and like 4
no.
screens or anything. But
I mean, editing a podcast is time consuming. So I was just wondering what your process and stuff was like.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, okay. So there's different kinds of like edits that people do. A lot of people do. I think it's called like a tabletop edit. Most people do this. And even some of my editors do this. They take all of their clips and they put it all into the timeline. Like they take the parts that they like out of the timeline, and then they go through that timeline and they edit it out. They edit it down to like what they want. I do that differently. So maybe this is because I've been doing this a long time. I've shot a lot of weddings. When I shoot your wedding, I kind of already know how I'm piecing it together as I'm filming it. It's like I've learned that along the way. It's like when I'm shooting a commercial or a wedding, I'm like, okay, well, this will look great here. And because maybe the venue is a little different this way. So I'll instead of filming like the dress wide, I can't get a really pretty wide shot of the dress. I'll use her in her dress as that kapow moment. You know what I mean? Yeah. Showing off the dress. So I'm like making that up in my head as I'm filming it. So then when I sit down at my editing table, all I'm doing is I'm looking for the stuff I already made up in my head. And then I'm putting it out. And that's how I do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because I've done so many. Like in my first time when I did that, I couldn't have done that. I was probably going through each and every single shot and trying to find whatever. But no, nowadays I make a 10-minute long video in my head and then I go through it, and not everything works out, you know, but like for the most part, I pretty much know what your wedding video looks like in my head before I even. So
how would you say your wedding day looks different from the first wedding that you were shooting that was your sister's with the T5 versus now? Like, where do you have your cameras and stuff set up? Like, how does all that look?
Well, a lot of it came, like I said, when I got gear crazy too, I started like bringing all of my gear with me everywhere I went. Yeah. So I was bringing like lights and all this other stuff and a bunch of other random things that I didn't need and I never used. Now I've minimalized my setup a lot, and I know only what I'm going to need to bring with me. And so like my Ronins have amazing battery. Sorry if you can hear that train. My Ronins have amazing battery in them, and they last like all day. And then I'll bring like a couple batteries from the camera or whatever and things like that. So I've minimalized my setup just to a T. Like I know exactly what I need for a wedding. That's a lot different than the first time, because the first time I was scrambling, I was charging batteries, I was doing all that stuff. You know what I mean? I had no idea what I was doing. Also, I actually understand a wedding now. Like to a certain extent, a wedding follows some form of a format, right? At the end of the day, they're going to kiss on the end of the. We hope they're going to kiss at the aisle.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as the day turns out okay and no one's fighting each other, then we'll end up the same. But yeah, you know, and then they exit or whatever and stuff like that. So there's like a timeline to it. Now that I know that timeline a little bit, I give a lot of advice. I don't run all my shoots on a wedding, but I give my advice to the bride or to the groom or to the photographer or whatever. And I'm able to put in my own input the way that I think the day might flow a little easier for the bride and groom. Because at the end of the day, that's like why we're there. You know what I mean? And I'm like, here's a great example. A way I form the day is a lot of times you get weddings, if you choose not to have dancing and things at your wedding, right? You choose like not to have a DJ and things like that. It's just fine. It's totally okay. People will, probably stay and they'll eat, and then they'll start ready to get in relief, and you'll start noticing people will leave, right? Well, then they bought all these sparklers to have a big sparkler exit. And then but they don't want to do their exit for another 2 hours after. And I'm like, hey, it's at the end of the day, it's y'all's day. Y'all can do whatever you want. But I'm going to let you know that people are starting to leave, and we're going to lose all those pans to hold those sparklers, and we're not going to have near as many people. And I want this picture to be amazing for you, this video, this moment, right? So what we've started to do now, and what a lot of people do, is what's called a fake exit, right?
Yeah.
And so they get people to come out and they do the sparklers. We do a big fake exit, and the picture is a lot prettier and everything like that. And because I don't want them to miss out on that moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I would say the difference in my first day and today is my knowledge of how a wedding day goes, and being able to help out the bride and groom and encourage them to do things that create bigger memories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like getting creative with how the first look is done. Like if you decide to do a first look rather than doing it during the ceremony, like getting creative with how to do that. There was this big like willow tree in Mississippi I was at one time, and I had them on either side of the tree. You know what I mean? And their like backs were like not against the tree because she's in a pretty white dress, but like they were, backs were turned to the tree, and I got this really pretty shot of like the tree and then like them two together, and then like they came around the tree. You know what I mean? And it's just different than being like tapping on the shoulder. It's just a little different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I like being able to offer that to my bride and grooms and being like, hey, why don't we do something different? Make your days unique. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like you said earlier, like put your own spin on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. And so I think that's what I have to offer differently now than I would have even last year. Like literally, like last year, I think I was still getting into the position of just kind of doing whatever I could do, like whatever the photographer was doing. Like I was just kind of riding. I was learning still. There's a lot of learning to do at weddings. And this year, I've become a lot more of like helpful. I feel like I'm doing my brides more justice these days than I did then. Not hating on any of the brides that I worked with in the
you're
past.
just getting better with time, man.
Yeah, I think I'm just growing as a creative.
Yeah. So let's touch on a little bit of your. It said on your website that you offer like graphic design. Like, do you do graphic design, or you have people that do that, the digital media part?
So the graphic design we primarily do that for like our, like I'm going to say our bigger clients. Like we have clients that we do that are in other states and things like that, and that sort of thing. And those clients, I make like a lot of my graphic design mostly falls into billboards. I make a lot of billboards. And it's cool, and I love doing that. But yeah, that's pretty much graphic design. Graphic design is not a huge avenue. I'd love for it to be. I think if I brought in a graphic design, which I'm not against bringing in a graphic designer, but if I brought in someone to do just graphic design, I would push that out a little bit more. Like I would advertise it. If you look on my website, it says that we do graphic design. Yeah. But if you look at like my Instagram, I don't know. It might say graphic design, but it's not like a prominent thing. I'm not showing off graphic design on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Right. But if I had someone who was doing crazy graphic designs that was like an absolute artiste, I would like totally pump them out and be like, hey, like look at the stuff we can do here at Night Productions now. You know what I mean? But until that point, it's just like It's like a thing we offer to our consistent clients or to people needing like a brand, like starting a business and needing a logo, just something simple and whatever,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And not maybe wanting to pay the super high end, like super, whatever. And more power to those guys because those guys are way better than me. But I'll make you a logo and it might be a little more affordable and that benefits some certain people. So
Yeah.
now the digital media side of things, that's a very common thing that we do these days. And that's what I was talking about, retainer stuff. It's called digital media. What it is, it's content creation. We do not currently, it's something I'd like to get into, but we do not currently like operate your social media, but I will create all the content for it.
Oh, okay.
Right. So like I will come monthly, monthly I would come and I provide photos or videos, kind of depending on what we agree on, you know what I mean? Or, we do shoots here. I have a lot of boutiques downtown that come and shoot here on scene at our studio every week, you know what I mean? In rotation every 2 weeks. And I create content for their social medias or for their websites. And so that's kind of what digital media is like content creation.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about like the cinematic aspect of it. What would you say are some good ways to get better at storytelling?
Watching movies, probably. I worked at a theater for 3 years.
Yeah.
But watching movies, if you like pay attention to like not only like the story aspect, because I don't certain like we talked about earlier, like you could look up a YouTube video about that and they'll give you their tips. So that's their tips. And I'm not saying I won't ever make a YouTube video about my own tips on storytelling. But what I'm saying is it's like at the end of the day, you're going to have to find your own spin on that, right? I think movies are the best way to do that because you don't have someone sitting in front of you saying like, this is how you create a story. Like they made a story and you're learning like you have to dive into that yourself. And figure out like when you're in high school and your English teacher is like, what they mean by this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to do that with a movie. Like if you watch even as something as simple as like one of the Avengers movies, right?
Yeah.
If you sat down and watched one of those movies and broke it down and was like, how does this storyline and then how do they suddenly switch to what's happening over here, at somewhere else off or another time and then come back and then somehow those stories collide? You look at that stuff and you really break that down. That's impressive things. And it wasn't until like a year or so ago that I even gained mildly a skill like that to be able to think, to put my brain into two places at once and say, okay, this needs to happen and this needs to happen. And then we can come together and then that everyone's mind will be blown.
Yeah.
Right? Like those are traits that you just learn along the way. And I learned that kind of stuff through movies, through breaking it down and doing research and things like that. So my advice to them would be watch movies.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad homework assignment.
No, it's not. Especially the Avengers movies. We don't have enough time to talk about my love for
well, it'll be episode 2 on this podcast.
Yeah,
with me.
exactly.
We'll talk about Avengers.
Yeah. So I've got some listener questions and then we'll just finish up.
Okay,
so
perfect.
What are some pros and cons of going to film school?
Pros for me were I got some hands-on experience with some like really high-end equipment. Pros also for me were if I chose this avenue, I did pretty well like when it came to the film side of my classes, like when it came to actually producing like a video. I got to make like YouTube videos and stuff like that. A lot of my teachers actually even to this day email me and remind me that they still use my videos to show off in their classes that I made, which is cool. It's a really I'm honored to be able to do that. So I got a lot of offers when I came out of college to go. I got an offer to film in India on a documentary. I got 2 offers in Hollywood to film on set, but I'd been like holding C camera.
Yeah.
Like camera C, like the dude filming B camera. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have been doing anything. And I probably made less than minimum wage probably, you know what I'm saying? So but I'm gonna consider that a pro because if you're into that and you want to start in that field, that's a perfect avenue. I went to film school. They will push you. And Full Sail has Full Sail specifically. I can't speak for other schools here. Have an option at any time. If this doesn't work out and I decide I want to go to Hollywood, I can reach out to them and they will give me like job opportunities anytime I want. Like they'll find me a job opportunity and try to put my resume together that I built at school that they helped me build, and I take that and they'll send that to whatever. So it's pretty neat, like that aspect of it. However, cons, it was a complete waste of my time. I wasn't able to focus on my personal business as much. It cost a lot of money. School is expensive. when I said waste of my time, it's only I said waste of my time because I run a small business. If I didn't run a small business, it wouldn't have been the same. I'd have been in college and having fun with my friends at the same time. It said instead I was in college and having no fun with my friends, and I was doing this all the time.
Yeah.
So that's why I said it was a waste of my time. But yeah, no cons. I felt like I didn't learn anything. Maybe that's a personal thing.
Yeah.
Nothing like an actual like how a camera operates or like how a set design works or like how to write a script and things. I didn't learn anything. Like I already knew all that because I watched YouTube. But that's all I cared about. Like when I was in high school was like learning that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I might be a little bit different there, but if any of that you don't know that and that sounds interesting to you, then I encourage you to go to film school. If you already feel like you know those things or feel like you want to learn those things on your own, do not waste that money. I feel like unless your mom is forcing you to get a degree, then maybe that's for you. But that would be my pros and cons list. Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say your favorite project that you've ever worked on is?
Ever? Dude. Can I give you a couple?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it, man.
All right. I'll start right off the dome and this, whatever. But Caden and I did just go to Charlotte and we got to film with Marquise Haynes.
I saw that.
He's an NFL player for the Panthers. Maybe not one of my favorite pieces I've ever put together, but as far as shoots go, that was super fun.
Yeah.
Like I love that. Another one of my favorites is, which is kind of like a little random one. It's more of maybe the experience that was fun. I did a commercial once with Greenway, and we filmed with Jason Aldean at his house. That was cool. We've done that before. You know what? A project that is local, that is one of my favorites. She'll love me for saying this. At Downtown Nutrition, I made a commercial for a tea. I spent a long time. It's a 15-second ad. I spent a lot of time on it, and it's like there's a lot of transitions and strawberries and things like that, and it loops perfectly. That's probably one of my favorites. You got to watch it to understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but it is one of my favorite pieces. I show it off to everybody because I spent a lot of time and thought into like how each shot would flow and like spin and move and everything. And I still look at it today and I'm like, I could have done that better. I could have done this differently, but I'll do that with everything. So, but yeah, I would say that's probably my top 3 things. I can't think of anything. I mean, there have been some cool like wedding highlight reels and stuff that I made, but like weddings is harder to say that's like my favorite thing because I don't want to pick somebody and be like, your wedding was my favorite wedding.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. Don't want to single somebody out.
Right. Yeah, but I've done some pretty cool wedding reels and stuff. So
okay, so which one would you say is tougher to shoot? A full day of pictures or a full day of video?
For me,
yeah, for you,
pictures.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, for me, pictures because pictures for me because I feel like I started video. My head knows video. You know what I mean? I'm good at pictures. I think I know like I know what to do. I've watched photographers do it a million times. You know, I've done it a million times. I feel like so I know like what to do with photos. So it's not like it's hard anymore, but it's just like. For like I said earlier, with video, when I'm literally in the process of filming your video, it's like formulating in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna go here, and this is gonna look like this, and this is gonna be awesome if I do it this way. And when I put it all together, it'll be a masterpiece. And then I get there, and I'm like, no, you know. But for photos, I don't know. Like for photos, I feel like I'm trying to make sure everything's perfect, and I have to be more nitpicky. I feel like I'm more nitpicky when I'm doing photos. So it's not that it's like hard. I love it both. But yeah, if I was gonna pick one, if you told me like life or death, I got to pick one or the other, I'm probably gonna pick video. Yeah. So
okay. And the last question I have: what is some advice you would give to somebody that has no experience and is looking to get in this sort of field?
Okay, so into the production business?
Yes.
Okay, give up everything else you have and start working hard. No, not really. But I mean, man, look, for real talk, I got put in a position one time, and it was a crazy scenario, but I got put in a position one time where somebody looked me dead in the eye and told me that I would never be anywhere close to where they were. I talked about this on Instagram one time.
Yeah.
Someone looked me dead in the eye and fueled me and said that, like no matter what, they looked at me and Alex and they're like, no matter what, you guys will never be where I am. You know what I mean? And I was like, wow.
Wow.
Gotta show you wrong. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
And that fueled me, man. I was like, well, I got to work hard, and this is a tough business. And I thought whatever. And I was new. I was like new into this stuff. And I was a kid. I'm still a kid, but like, what I mean, I was like a kid, and I was like shocked that somebody said that to me. And so, man, if someone like my advice to someone like that is no matter what anybody says, there are highs and there are lows as you are trying to grow a business or you're trying to grow your name and trying to, if you're trying to become the next Steven Spielberg and you want to do whatever, if you're trying to do this kind of stuff, man, it doesn't matter what anybody says. I mean, you are the only thing in front of you. It doesn't matter who else is doing this. There's 100 of us in Northeast Arkansas doing photo and video and weddings and commercials and things like that. I know I've met so many people and it's been awesome. There are so many nice people in this business and I love it. But it doesn't matter what anybody says, who likes you, who doesn't, man. You work hard for you and it will pay off like 100%. Like don't ever give up and watch a lot of YouTube.
Yeah. But yeah, well, I mean, that concludes the interview, man. So Nathan, I appreciate you sitting down with me today, man.
Thanks for having me, man, for real.
Yeah, so this has been another episode of the Clever Angle Podcast. Follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and until next time, peace.